This
Monday through
conference will
Thursday.
now be recorded.
Hey, everybody. It's Dr. Doug Smith. It is time for our 2:30 Monday through Thursday podcast. Apologies for the difficulty that we had yesterday. We just couldn't seem to be able to get any of the technology to work properly. But we're back today, and we got Charles back with us. And as always, Alex is in the control room running the show. And we bring your attention to the graphic that's on your screen. This is what we're talking about today. Okay. The timing was perfect because we had just finished going through both citizens' petitions, page by page. We spent a great deal of time on the citizens' petition. And what you see on the screen in front of you, this is the FDA's letter in regards to the first citizens' petition. Now, I'm not here to pat myself on the back. I'm not here to congratulate myself. I'm not here to give myself accolades. But I am going to say, filing the first citizens petition was probably one of the luckier things that we've done. It turned out to be pretty smart because what it did was it forced the FDA to put something in writing. Okay. And as you can see, not only did we get something in writing from the FDA, we got something from a very high level from the FDA. Okay. And if what you're looking at right there, that letter from the FDA, okay, that's signed by Carol Bennett, Deputy Director of the Office of Regulatory Policy for CDER, Center for Drug Evaluation Research. These are the top people. That's a Harvard-trained attorney. That's one of the FDA's top attorneys. Okay, we have certainly rattled their cages to the point to where they're responding to us from the highest level. And my guess here is the FDA attorney isn't really trained in science. So, she kind of went to the science people, most likely Dr. Rigoberta Roca's people there at the Division of Addiction and Anesthesiology, and said, hey, tell me about this science. And they said, oh, that's that Dr. Doug Smith guy. That guy's just a nut. And she wrote a letter that is mocking, okay, at the very least, which she didn't have to do. All she had to do was say, hey, we're busy. We hadn't gotten to your citizens petition. We'll get to it soon. That's not what she did. Okay, she mocked us with that letter. And that's something that has the potential to come back and haunt her. So I'm not viewing this as anything bad or negative for us. Okay, this is a huge breakthrough for us because this is the first time we've ever gotten the FDA to put in writing that they are responsible for the opioid crisis. That's what this letter says. That's what this letter says. This letter says that we, the FDA, are responsible for the opioid crisis because, there's the big three right there in the letter. The genetic poisoning, otherwise known as genotoxicity, that's in the letter. The need for the antidote for those who experience the symptoms from the genetic poisoning, that's there in the letter. And the risk of imminent death, that's there in the letter. The big three are there. I really should send her a fruit basket and say thank you. I think she deserves a fruit basket for what she's done. Okay, and basically what she's saying is we don't have time to deal with those three. Okay, so there's no denying by the FDA that they're not aware of the genotoxicity, the genetic poisoning. There's no denying from the FDA that they're not aware that the people need access to the antidote that is buprenorphine. And there's no denying that our people are at risk of imminent death. She can't deny any of it. She wrote the letter. She can't deny it because she wrote the letter. Okay, and she's a high up. She's a very high up. Okay, this isn't coming from some mid to lower level bureaucrat. Okay, this is coming from the top. So we rattled their cages, and that's sometimes when you rattle somebody's cages, you'll get lucky like this, and that's what happened. We rattled their cages and we got lucky. I'll take luck over anything else. Anytime you're in a situation like this. Okay. Now, how do we best utilize this? We don't have an answer for that yet. We're just now beginning to understand what we have. Okay, what we have for the first time ever is in black and white that the FDA is responsible for the opioid crisis. It's right there. She's not denying it. Okay, she's the one that wrote the letter, not me. Okay, she pulled my quote. Appreciate that. But this is really a good thing for us. So don't sweat this. And again, you're looking at the screen, you see the letter on top, and then there on bottom, you see the organizational chart, what's known as an org chart, O-R-G, org, is what they're called, org chart for the FDA. And there in the top left-hand corner is Carol Bennett, JD. Okay, that means attorney. Okay, she's in the top left-hand corner. She's that's the corner office, let's say. Okay, so I don't want anybody feeling that this was a setback for us. This is not a setback for us. This is a step forward for us, because now we finally have in black and white and in writing from the FDA and from a higher up at the FDA that they're the ones responsible for this opioid crisis, because they have looked at the science and they're still denying it. That's what's amazing about this. Okay, go and look at the citizens petition. I mean, it took me weeks to write that thing. Okay, Charles, you've looked at it, you've read it. It's the science is there. It's not my science. Okay, it's the scientific evidence about the opioids, not my science. She's denying the scientific evidence about the opioids, and if you're going to say that opioids cause addiction, you have to deny the scientific evidence. So that's the point that we wanted to make today. Charles, what are your thoughts on what we've had so far to say today? Are we? Is it possible to view this letter as a positive thing and a good thing, and say, wow, hey, we finally have in black and white from the FDA that they are responsible for the opioid crisis? And the reason I say that is because we now have the evidence that they are truly ignoring the scientific, the science. They are truly ignoring the science. It was presented to them, they read it, and they don't agree with it. Are we making sense, Charles?
Yeah, you're making sense. Plus, I think you have other paperwork as well, because everybody that files a Form 3500, they have to respond to that as well.
Yeah, and Charles, anytime you say the Form 3500 and the importance of the Form 3500, my thoughts go to you, because you're the ones that kind of you burned that into my brain. And so yes. And it continues us down the pathway where we're not painting them into a corner; they're painting themselves into a corner. And Charles, just so you and everybody else knows, and you'll hear this from me a lot, my hope is that I can write this book, and we can sell this book. It's called FDA Genocide. It's a story of what's happened to us so far. It's a story of what happened during the opioid crisis. It's a story of the actual science, and that we can sell this book, and all the proceeds will go towards filing the first lawsuits, and hopefully the first several hundred lawsuits in the mass tort law case. And at least in my mind, Charles, every one of those lawsuits requires a completed Form 3500 and the completed DNA analysis, because what else is there?
Right. You're correct there. I believe that too.
Yeah. What else is there? Anything else is fluff. Anything else is it's not the cake, it's the frosting.
Unless you could, let's see, like I also have a plan. I'm going to go see a cardiologist, and I'm going to take this information with me. And any documentation that another doctor gives me that confirms anything that you say, I'll have as well.
I hope that works out well for you. You know my level of skepticism.
I know, I am too, but I'm just saying, if they slip up like this lady did, who knows?
Boy, she really. Wow, Charles, would I have loved to have been a fly on the wall? I can only imagine. Here's what I think happened. At least in my mind, this is how I have it. Maybe this is my fairy tale. Maybe this is what I want to believe. But I believe she actually printed a copy of the citizens petition, all 70 pages. Okay, and scheduled a time to sit down with Dr. Rigoberto Roca, who in my opinion is the architect of the opioid crisis, because he's the one that approved the opioids without requiring a check for genetic damage. And
Wow.
and she's not an idiot. I mean, she's a Harvard trained lawyer. Okay, she's not an idiot. She's a Harvard trained lawyer. So I imagine she went down to his office and said, hey, Rigoberto, you got to explain this to me, because this is your field. This is science. and I need to know, I got to write a letter back to this Dr. Smith, and somehow in that process, it became emotional.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. It sounds like it might have.
Somehow in that process, it became emotional. Okay, because that letter, in my opinion at least, is written based on emotion
Or realization that he is responsible.
They don't recognize it yet. If they did, they
No, I
wouldn't
mean the guy Roberto Rico or whatever his name was.
Dr. Rigoberto Roca.
Yeah, that guy. He's the one that didn't require it. I guarantee you, he knows about it.
I really think he's still drinking the Kool-Aid. I really think these people are still believing they're still believing their own nonsense. That tends to be human nature. Human nature, and then we'll hold here for today. We'll pick up on this tomorrow. But there's something about human nature where it's more important to have been right in the past than it is to be right now.
Yeah.
And that's where these people are, Charles. They're moving into a position where they're trying to prove that they were right in the past. It's more important to have been right than it is to be right.
Correct. I understand.
And what that is, when you're trying to help people, okay, it's more important to be right because you're trying to help people. When it's more important to have been right, that's just all about your ego.
Yeah.
That's all about the self. That's all about ego. So that's where we are on this thing, Charles. We're down to a level. That letter, Charles, is down to the level of egos. It's not about science. It's about
it
ego.
is. I can understand, someone getting someone to admit that they are wrong or to admit that they have been wrong and so wrong. Yeah, I can understand that.
I don't think they're ever going to admit it. I think our best chance is to have them drugged, kicking and screaming in front of a House committee on a hearing.
Absolutely.
And by the way, I
Absolutely.
sent a whole bunch of emails with this letter over the weekend to members of the House and Senate, and I didn't get anything back. I mean, they're just they do the same thing. They pick up the phone and call somebody, and they go, "Oh yeah, that's that Dr. Smith. He's a nut."
Well, we're going to find a way in.
Well, I really think it's going to be the filing of the lawsuits. So,
Well, of course.
Charles, help hold my feet to the fire. I really think I can have a first good edit done by the second week in July. Of course, I'll be sending it to you along the way to read. We may even read some excerpts here on the podcast. But I really want to hold to the schedule of the first edition ready by the in 28 days.
Great.
I think I can get it done.
That's great.
I'm a little torn on. I like the title. Let me know if you don't like the title. I like the title. I like the title FDA Genocide. Let me know if you don't.
No, I love it.
And somehow we got to work this letter into the subtitle, because this letter I think is so important. And then to me, the opening first paragraph is what's going to make or break for a lot of people. Is that first paragraph, and I'm thinking of using and please feel free to reach out to Dr. B and talk to her about it.
Yeah.
But I'm planning on using the dialogue she and DEA Special Agent Brian Bradshaw had at a hearing where she called him a liar and a fraud. And he just sat back in his chair, looked at her, and grinned.
Yeah, I see.
That's what I'm thinking. All right, anything else, Charles? Otherwise, we'll hold here. We'll pick up here tomorrow.
Nope, we'll pick it up tomorrow.
Okay, and again, everybody, Charles, everybody, I am apologizing for yesterday. You don't have to bark at me. Our apologies for yesterday. Sometimes I am apologizing. Be quiet. Our apologies for yesterday. Sometimes those things just can't be helped. And remember, post us on your social media. Post us on everybody else's social media. Like us, subscribe to us, and we'll see you here tomorrow. Bye-bye, everybody.